tomorrow, that is 18th, and day after 19th of August. The 2 days there is a conference at the national level in Kanyakumari against superstitions. And they have invited me to participate. I wished you could also go, but I just like to know your views about superstitions which are being spread like anything by most of our religions, though they claim to be religions and closer to truth, etc., closer to God, but they have made into a business, a commerce, some sort of an industry, soul-saving industry as I call them. And I find that unless and until this issue of superstition mongering in religions is not addressed, there's no way we can make religions as an instrument of social transformation or instruments of justice. What are your views about it?
Well, in my line of thinking, the distance from religion to superstition is very disturbingly small. Why I say this is, unless people are very careful and vigilant, they will fall into superstition in the name of religion. I believe that superstitions of every kind are A, contrary to the spirit of spirituality, B, highly harmful, and that's my main concern, highly harmful to human growth and empowerment. Now, there is a weakness in human nature on which superstitions thrive or to which superstitions are addressed. And that's the tendency to take the line of least resistance. Now, you can solve your problems in the proper way if you grow, develop your abilities, and equip yourself and are willing to work hard. If you don't want to do any of these things, then you begin to look for quick fix solutions, and at that time the attraction of superstition becomes almost irresistible. The second issue is, which is related to the first, what prevents human beings from growing and developing is alienation from truth, as well as dodging responsibilities to practice justice, stand for justice, and fight for justice. Now, when a person does not live by truth, then he becomes very weak. I know from personal experience that truth is the greatest strength. You remember my fondness for Soren Kierkegaard.
Yes.
I remember reading in one of his books, somewhat like this, and I still remember his words. He says, a man who is, or a human being who is on the side of truth is mightier than the army.
Wow, great.
Mightier than the army.
Vedas consider truth to be God.
That's right.
The energy of truth. And Gandhiji said, truth is God.
Yes. We must realize that Gandhi came up with this great emphasis in the context of leading India to freedom.
Yes.
And there is a background to this. In 1906, Leo Tolstoy wrote a letter addressed to the people of India. It is titled Letter to a Hindu. Now, in that letter, Tolstoy raises a question: how come that a large people, number of people, a huge population of 200 million, collapsed before a ragtag group of 30,000 white men when it happened? And he immediately gives the answer. India collapsed because it deviated from truth and it made light work of truth. And therefore, and I fully agree with Tolstoy's insight, whenever and wherever individuals, societies, institutions, nations deviate from the path of truth, they become weak and they're not far from collapse. Unfortunately, there are smart people who think that, as somebody I know once said, when you are in a tight spot, tell any lies you like and get out of it. I want to say, you cannot get out of anything telling lies. You actually sink deeper and deeper into the quicksand of the situation.
Yeah.
So therefore, anybody who is interested in his own health, his own development, his own stature, must completely abjure superstition. Now, very simple.
What could be the instances of major superstitions in our organized, institutionalized religions as of today? Because I was born into a Hindu Brahmin family myself, and I used to worship gods and goddesses and so many things. It was much later at the age of 17 when I came across this powerful movement called Arya Samaj, and I read Vedas and Upanishads, etc. I realized that I was practicing superstition myself. And then I realized that I used to consider Rama and Krishna as God or incarnation of God. It was, after reading the Vedas, studying, I learned that God is something different.
Yeah.
The creator God is it's universal, has no form, and it's a formless God, and omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient as we call it. But I have been worshipping the image or photograph of big picture of Rama and Krishna and many others as God. So I would like to know from your perspective, from a Christian perspective, what do you think is happening today in the world of Christianity, or maybe in the world of Islam, or anything you know about?
First, I'll give you a general description, general idea of superstition.
Yes.
My line of thinking, whatever a person does,
Yes.
subscribes to, or believes, without personal conviction based on an application of reason, is superstition.
Yes.
Whatever. And therefore, from this perspective, if you use this as an intellectual tool and look at religious practices in various religions, you will see that they all abound in superstitious practices. Now, unfortunately, because people are born into religions and they don't choose religions, they get conditioned to whatever superstitions are prevalent.
Yes.
Well, it's like, an illustration would be, you catch a frog, put it in a vessel, pour some water and slowly heat it. The frog will not know that it is being cooked.
Yes.
This is how it happens.
Yeah, but if you put it in real hot water, it will jump out.
It'll jump.
Yeah.
So this kind of gradual conditioning from birth onwards is what actually allows superstitions to penetrate into human personality and survive in the community.
Yes.
But
there's a beautiful sort of a saying in our ancient shastras. Yes tarkena anusandhaste sa dharma. Only that is religion which can be judged on the anvil of tark, that means reason.
Reason. That's right.
Yes.
I think the restoration of reason
Yes.
to the practice of religion
Yes.
must be a very, very top priority today.
Yeah.
We all expected that with the dawn of the age of reason, and then of course science, technology and all kinds of progress, the drumbeat of modernity and all the rest of it, superstitions will disappear. But actually superstitions have become stronger. And that's because we really haven't allowed reason, or we haven't rebuilt our life, our societies on the basis of reason. People pit reason against faith and faith against reason. I am scared of a faith which is not reasonable or which doesn't agree with reason. To me, faith must be a higher form of reason. Any conflict between faith and reason must be completely rejected by anyone who cares for his faith and his own sanity. So that if this is done, I think the domination, the oppressive domination and the crippling effects of the many superstitions that thrive in our midst can be eradicated.
Yeah.
And one must also add that if you look at the work, the teachings of the enlightened people,
Yes.
they were all against superstition.
Yes.
Not one of them supported it, endorsed it.
Yes.
Now, I know, for example, how Jesus of Nazareth
Yes.
was supremely rational.
Yes.
And one of the reasons, in fact, the main reason why he was crucified by the religious establishment of the times was that he exposed their superstitions one
Yes.
after the other.
Yes.
And he gave a new light.
Yes.
Now, there is nothing that religious orthodoxy fears more than light, because they thrive in darkness, mental darkness. And in a condition of mental darkness, many things can be sold to people as though they are very useful, beneficial and attractive. But when the light of reason dawns, they all look not only disappointing but harmful.
Yeah.
So I think that's the reorientation, that's a revolution that needs to take place today.
But when same saga of such supreme sacrifice of Jesus of Nazareth falls in the hands of
Yes.
the people who create a church around it and an industry and commerce around it, they start off by telling the story that he was born of immaculate conception and therefore he was Son of God and it's a miracle which happened. And then when he was crucified, after 3 days he rose from the dead, etc. So this type of stories, they are built around Rama and Krishna and many other such gods, goddesses, etc. all over the world. Now this miracle mongering or some sort of a superstitious mongering has become inherent or integral to most of these organized religions. What is your response to this?
You refer to immaculate conception.
Yeah.
Tell me one conception which is not immaculate. Every conception.
Yes.
When the sperm meets the ovum,
Yes.
it's immaculate, it's pure, it's holy, because that does not happen because of the carnality of a woman and a man.
Yes.
It happens as a divine intervention.
Yes.
That's my belief.
Yes.
I don't think human beings can manufacture life.
Yeah.
They can manufacture anything else,
Yes.
and everything else. But a life has to originate
Yeah.
because of God and because of no other reason. How is that not immaculate?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, but to attribute this singularly, exceptionally to
No, I don't.
Jesus of
Actually, to
Nazareth.
tell you the truth,
Yeah.
this would have come into Christianity
Yeah.
as a part of the influence that Greek Roman mythology, the so-called pagan culture,
Yes, yes.
exerted on the development of Christianity.
Yes, yes.
See, for example, when you look at Greek gods, goddesses,
Yeah.
all of them must have some strange births.
Yes, yes.
Especially if a god is to be born, a goddess is to be born at a critical moment. That birth must be somehow distinguished from everything else.
Yes, distinguished.
This is how you make something look extraordinary.
Extraordinary, divine, and then you say, yeah,
I think it's a familiar technique.
technique.
But my conviction is
Yes.
that all conceptions
Yes,
are immaculate.
yes,
It's a very sacred and holy experience for a woman to be pregnant.
yes,
And I believe that the greatest experience for a woman is to be pregnant and to be the carrier of life, which is God Himself.
yes.
So,
Excellent. And so we need to invite people to accept reason, rationality, and as our Article 51A of Indian Constitution says, it is the bounden duty
yes.
fundamental duty of every citizen of India to promote scientific temper,
Yes.
the spirit of inquiry,
Yes.
reform, humanism. Then only India can also come out. The Indian religions and Indian people can come out of this morass of
Yes.
superstitions and all of these sort of things, an age of reason and scientific temper. That will be the vehicle on which we can really make some real progress, social, economic and spiritual. Thank you.
You see, it's like this, when you are young,
Yeah.
you believe certain things to be absolutely true.
Yes.
As you grew up, you discarded them one after the other.
Yes.
Right? So, we have to shake off these superstitions as the milestones of our own spiritual evolution.
Yes.
Now, if all your life you have subscribed to the same set of notions, and for 100 generations this has gone on, clearly there is something wrong about it.
Something wrong. Yes.
Right?
Stagnating.
It's
a pool.
It is
cesspool.
It is a valorization
Yeah.
of stagnation, which is
Yeah.
death.
Death.
Which is death. So basically, the war against superstition can be summarized in the words of that prayer from untruth, untruth to truth,
Yes.
from darkness to light,
Yes.
from death to immortality.
Yes.
Lead us.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Excellent.
But people may chant it and believe in and practice superstitions.
And our national motto is Satyameva Jayate.
Yeah, that's right.
Satyameva Jayate.
Yes.
Asato ma satgamaya.
So,
Tamaso ma
Jodha.
jyotirgamaya. Mrityor ma amritam gamaya. Beautiful. Thank you.